in Cuba, Belgium, Brazil, Congo, UK and all over the USA to crowds from 14 to 40,000. International leadership speaker, trainer and coach. Author of Learn to Raw Leadership, Attitude Hack, Live a More Excellent Life, 5 Battle Strategies of a Victorious Warrior.
Check.
2021 President's Lifetime Achievement Award recipient. Founding partner of the John Maxwell team. Toastmaster International Speech Competition semi-finalist. Founder of Tell It Like It Is TV, ThatGuyRocks.com and ThatGuySpeaks.com. Creator of Story Power TV, Transforming Grace TV, and Leading Leaders Podcast. Producer of 4 TV programs and podcasts for Liftable TV and World Trumpet Television as well as multiple social media channels. Please help me welcome J Loren Norris.
Today I'm going to share with you the number one most important tool for recovery from failure. Now, if you've been an entrepreneur, a leader, a business owner for any period of time, you know that failure, it's imminent. It's going to happen. You're going to make a mistake. Something's going to derail you, whether it's a relationship, or it's a business investment, it's a product launch, it's a sales process, it's a marketing campaign. You're going to make a mistake. And when that failure comes, you're going to be required to move on. The real question is going to be, what is the tool you have to move on? And that's what I'm going to talk about today on Leading Leaders.
Subscribe now for our extensive video library of leadership lessons promoting faith, family, and freedom.
I'm J Loren Norris with Leading Leaders Podcast, and I can tell you that I've learned along the way more from my mistakes than I have from just about anything else. Now, I do have to refer to my uncle who way back when said, a smart man learns from his own mistakes. A wise man learns from everybody else's. Meaning it takes more wisdom to observe, to study, to learn, to research, to be aware of the mistakes that other people in your field or on the same path have made so that you don't have to repeat those mistakes. And while I do make a grand effort to do that, it's why I own so many books. It's why I study so many different things that some would even say are outside of my field of study or work. I study those things because I know that people have made mistakes and I want to learn what their mistakes were so I don't have to repeat them. But I also know that I do tend to learn more from mistakes that I've made. When I screw something up and I have to figure out how to recover from it, that's when I tend to learn the most. I have the most notes, the most journal entries, the most time in my thinking chair, staring off into space going, how did I get to here from there? But in every one of those things, I have found one thing consistent. And that one thing is it's not a trick, it's not a technique, it's a tip though. It's something that'll save you a whole lot of time and heartache. It's this attitude that allows you to recover from a bad mistake. It's the ability to look at what you've learned and what has cost you maybe time, maybe money, maybe relationship, maybe career, maybe opportunity. And while all of those things piled on top of each other could be cataclysmic, they could change your destiny forever. If you were to lose a relationship, a significant other, a child, a best friend over your own stupidity. If you were to lose a career, a field that you've spent decades studying to become a master in this field, and then suddenly you're out of the field. I think of friends who've made big mistakes in finances when they have a securities license, and they don't just lose that particular transaction. They can lose the right to ever practice in the field of finances again. These are not small mistakes. It's like a malpractice lawsuit. Some of them cost you a whole lot of money if you're in medicine. Some of them cost you your license to practice. Same thing in law. See, these are not just minor decisions. These are major career-ending decisions. And if all of those came on you at one time, the loss of a relationship like a best friend or a business partner, the loss of a career, the loss of your job, your income, which would probably lead to the loss of your house, your cars, and your things, those things could leave you devastated. They could leave you in a place where you're thinking, I'm not even sure I want to get up in the morning. So what if the sun rises? I'm not. I'm done. I quit. I'm checking out. Now, the sad thing is, there are people who will be there who will make a decision like that when the magnitude of their failure and even the magnitude of the consequences seems to them to be the biggest thing that's ever happened. But in true perspective, it's a small thing. It's a blip on the radar. If it happens early enough in life, there's still plenty of time to recover. But you need this one tip that I'm going to share with you today to recover fully. And it's a hard one. It's a hard thing to do. In fact, I sometimes feel silly just saying this, but I know from my own experience and from observing others that this one tip, it works every single time. I want you to think for a moment of the roller coasters that you've ridden in life, or the ones that you've observed if you're not a roller coaster rider, how they make that high pinnacle stop, pause, just for the moment of awareness before the bottom falls out and you fling yourself to the earth at 20, 30, 50, 75 miles an hour. And then maybe there's a loop-de-loop to come, or it's just that free fall that you feel like there's zero gravity for a moment, that the seat is moving away from your backside and you're still falling to the earth at a rapid speed all at the same time. And then there's an instant change of direction. And that instant change of direction jerks your body, it jerks your life, it changes everything. Well, that's kind of what it's like when you have one of those enormous cataclysmic mistakes. When you fail because you did something wrong, when you fail because you made a bad choice, when you fail because you've done something to break trust, whether it's in the public that you serve or your partners, when you've done something of that degree, that failure isn't just the roller coaster fall, it's the jerk to the left or the jerk to the right or the instant loop-de-loop that you go into, and suddenly you feel not just like the bottom's falling out, but like you are completely out of control. The best thing you can do at this moment is hold on for the ride and pray that one day it's over. Sometimes for the roller coaster, you're thinking, holy cow, I stood in line for 3 hours to get on this ride, and it's terrifying me, and it's making my body uncomfortable, but I know it's only 5 minutes long. See, in the light of our bad decisions and the consequences that we pay as a result of those bad decisions, we don't always get the luxury of knowing the ride's only 5 minutes long. I have friends who've made decisions in their early 20s to hang out with the wrong people and landed themselves incarcerated. One that I think of particularly, the circumstances led to a life sentence. He served 39 years before they realized he really wasn't involved in the circumstances quite the way that he had been sold down the river to be, and he was released after 39 years of his life had gone by. My friends, that's not a 5-minute roller coaster ride after standing in line for 3 hours. That's a 5-minute incident that leads to a 3-hour standing in line. It's a whole different thing. But I can tell you, and I can introduce you to him, what you will experience from that man today after having given up 39 years of his life for a bad decision that didn't take 5 minutes to occur. The tip that I'm about to give you is his life story. In a single decision, he chose this one secret element of overcoming failure over all of the others. And I'm telling you right now, I don't care where you're at in your life. I don't care how bad your relationships are. As we come into this holiday season, there are a lot of people who are thinking, it's just not worth going on. I want to get off the ride, and I'm going to do it at the top of the loop-de-loop. I'm just going to let go. I give up. I quit. I can't do this. That's a worse choice. That's worse than the choice that got you here in the first place. It's worse than the decision that led to the failure. It's worse than the failure. It's worse than the consequences you're experiencing right now. Let that settle in. If you've ever been a leader at any level, if you're a leader right now at any level, chances are you have failed. And because you have failed, I know that you're human. And because you're human and you failed and you're a leader, That means you're influencing the lives of other people, even in your failure. Now the question is, what can you do about it? How do you turn this thing around? Well, you obviously have to learn from the mistake that you made that led to your failure. And you've got to promise yourself and the other people who've been impacted by it, I will not do that again. I will not repeat the same decisions that led to the circumstances that led to the consequences that I'm experiencing now and bringing on others. Not going to do that. But even more than that, you've got to figure out how to turn around. You've got to find hope to get back on the ride, so to speak, and go at it again until you figure it out. Now, I know if you've ridden roller coasters that you know that moment, the pause at the top just before the bottom falls out. But I'm about to tell you the secret tip that is the chain that we hear driving the coaster to the top. I remember the first time I heard it on the log ride at Six Flags, Texas. I was about 7. Scared the bejeebers out of me. That clackety, 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 clack. And every second I felt like I was getting more and more terrified, getting closer and closer to the top. The exhilaration of the fall into the water was about the only thing that saved my peace of mind because I was horrified how high we were going to go. It felt like we were going straight up in the air, and it looked like the earth was getting smaller and smaller, kind of that the 360 camera tiny world view. Like the only thing I could see is me and the people in the boat, and I was in the very front, so I couldn't see anybody but my feet. It was horrifying. There are a lot of us that feel that way when we're coming into a major decision and we're not sure that we've made the right choice. There are a lot of us that realize we're about to get to that top pinnacle and the bottom is going to fall out. The question is, what is it that carries us up that path? What is it that allows us to make the ride all the way around and still have the gumption, the grit, the wherewithal to face the fear and clackety, 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 clack to the top of the roller coaster again? I'm about to give it to you. You ready? Gratitude. That's it. It's an attitude. Gratitude is a requirement. It's a requirement. Otherwise, you fall off the top of the roller coaster and you just come back down to the bottom and you sit there stagnant until it's over. Now, if you want to be able to experience the ride again, if you want to be able to get back on the horse, so to speak, to ride the bicycle again, to face the challenges of life again, to make good decisions where last time you made bad decisions, to do good things for others where last time you did bad things for others, to experience success where you're currently experiencing consequences, the only solution, the only way back to the top is gratitude. In fact, I believe if you could see it on a chart, what you would see is that every uphill climb towards success is driven by gratitude. And every fall off is consequences following bad decisions, except realize that sometimes the funnest part of the roller coaster is the loop-de-loop. And there is no place to get the momentum for the loop-de-loop unless you have the gratitude to get to the top of the hill and experience the free fall along the way. The lefts and the right turns, the bone-jolting, terror-inducing experiences of the ride that is life, they don't come without momentum. Momentum comes from the top of the hill, and the top of the hill comes from gratitude. If you're a leader and you have not learned to express gratitude, if you've not learned to experience gratitude, if you have not learned that gratitude is the momentum builder in your life, then you're going to find yourself floundering and flailing and fighting to keep moving. You'll find yourself without momentum and you'll find yourself without motivation. But when you express and experience gratitude, when you even look at the stupidest mistakes of your life, the worst consequences you could possibly imagine, that loss of career, that loss of freedom, that loss of family, that loss of finances, when you can look at those things and say, while I wish I had not had to experience those consequences, I'm grateful it was those and not worse ones. I'm grateful that I was given the opportunity to learn. I'm grateful that I've learned from that experience and I get to move on with my life. If you'll take the time to be grateful. Now, the guy's name is Gene McGuire. He's currently the chaplain for Babe's Restaurants. Gene McGuire's a sharp guy. He made some mistakes as a young guy, hung out with the wrong people. They did some stupid things. He paid an enormous price for those stupid things. Nearly 4 decades of his life incarcerated. But he'll tell you today that his faith is the result of those years of incarceration. He'll tell you that the lives that he has impacted both while he was in prison and since he got out are a direct relationship to the consequences he paid for decisions made when he was young and crazy. Now, that ability to take responsibility and be grateful, that's a rare combination. It is a combination that always leads to success. Maybe not by the same measure that everyone looks at success, but it always leads to success. Because it is the driving force that brings you back up the hill. It's the clackety-clackety-clack that takes you back to the top of the mountain. And remember, it's only from the top of the hill that you can build the momentum to sail down the hill. When the bottom feels like it's falling out and the exhilaration is rising and you're wondering what the next turning is going to bring or the loop-de-loop is going to bring, that only comes from the momentum that is getting to the top of the hill, and that is always gratitude. I want to challenge you as leaders to ask yourself the question, am I genuinely experiencing gratitude even in the worst of the circumstances? Am I expressing gratitude? Am I saying thank you? Even for the things that everybody else looks at and says, you're crazy that you're going through this and you haven't lost your marbles. There's something wrong with you. I don't know that there's something wrong with you. If you've found the way to be grateful, to say with genuine gratitude, I'm glad it's not worse than this, and I'm thankful that I get to live through this to something better. That attitude alone will change your life. And I challenge you to take some time over this holiday season. We call it Thanksgiving for a reason. But to take the time to be grateful for the things that you don't have as much as you are for the things that you do have. There was a song, I believe it was by Randy Travis many years ago, called Unanswered Prayers. May have been George Strait. But in that song, he talks about the fact that this is the family I thought I wanted. This is the family I got. And now that I have the family I've got, I am so thankful that somebody knew better than me how to plan my life. I want you to take some time this weekend. Spend some time alone. Spend some time staring off into space. Spend some time in your quiet chair, your thinking chair, wherever that space is, on a riverbank with a fishing pole. And take time to say thank you. Thank you for where you are, for what you have, for who you are. And thank you for having the opportunities that you do have, even in the worst consequences you've ever experienced. You're still alive, and you have a chance to do it again. Be grateful for that. Gratitude is the clackety-clack that takes you to the top of the hill where momentum to carry through life is born. I'm J Loren Norris with Leading Leaders Podcast for Tell It Like It Is TV. Have a blessed day.